안녕하세요. 택톡입니다. 이번 영상은 저번 번역실 영상에 이어서 툴M의 AR 세팅, 운용법에 대한 이야기를 마저 해보겠습니다. 이번에는 0점, 총기와 조준경의 오프셋, 슬링, 스톡 셋업에 대한 내용을 다루고 있습니다. 택톡 번역실 AR 운용법 2편입니다.
What did we zero our guns at? Give me some numbers. Are we zeroed? What did you zero your weapon at? 25. 25? Huh? 40 yards. So a lot of thought process going on between 25, 15, whatever, right? Can't think like that. Can't think like that with an AR. I like your concept, but you can't think like that with AR because an AR is a ranged weapon. Remember what I told you. What is your purpose of carrying that weapon? We talked about maximizing range, right? You think you're going to maximize range when you zero your weapon at 25 meters? You're not, right? So I've done a lot of zeroing through my life. I took data from different terrains and I came up with my baseline zero. Obviously, terrain has a lot to do with it. If you live in a desert environment, you want to flatten out that zero. You want minimum offsets on that zero. But for an everyday gun, right, I'm all about the 50 meter zero. And let me explain why. Why do you think that, Richard? Why do you think 50 meter zero?
You can hit at 50 and you can hit at 200.
That's right.
And the deviation in the projectile is not going to be too far off.
Beautiful. All right. So a 50 meter zero, if you understand ballistics, right? So the round goes through the grooves and the bores on your barrel. It goes into a spin, supersonic spin, right? It goes into spin, and the bullet then arches, right? So it comes out, it kind of climbs like a football, and then it goes into a transonic stage. Transonic is when the bullet goes from subsonic, right, to transonic, where it starts to wobble, okay, and then it glides out there, and that's sniper range, okay? So you got to understand your muzzle velocity and your ballistics, all right? So what Richard said was, if I zero my rifle in at 50 meters, ballistically, that data, so imagine 200, at 50 meters, it's going to start climbing. And then it climbs and it drops down around 200 meters in the same plane. Understand? It's the same plane as that 50 meter zero. So it's great to have that close data, right? And then it has that kind of far data. Why do I need range on my AR? If I'm like, well, I'm a police officer, I'm going to do CQB. I don't need range because I'm close quarters. Why do you think we need range? Why do you think we need it? Think about data, guys. So I'm all about statistics. I read, ever since a child, I've been reading history, wars, right? When I was in the special forces, I would study past battles and data, right? What did we make mistakes on? That's the worst thing. If there's data out there and you don't read it and this is your life, you're just a dumb guy, right? So the thing was that guys were zeroing their guns at a close range, but dude, they were getting in street fights. Think about Somalia, Panama, right? Those are environments that are going to see keep. I'll tell you my personal, Iraq, right? We're going in, containing, isolating houses, and then getting shot down the street, 200 meters, 300 meters down the street, right? So for my police officers, you need to understand that. It's not just about, an AR is not just about your close quarters range. You have to understand what's the capability of that AR. It's to get that range, that distance, okay? So today, I'm going to zero you in at a 50 meter zero, okay? A 50 meter zero would also allow you that 200 meter, roughly around 200 meter ballistics, the same holds. If you personally, as an individual, feel like that's something you don't want, then tell me. This is your gun, all right? But if you don't know, I'm going to give you my experience, and my experience is a 50 meter zero. Dude, it was a great zero for CQB and distance. All right, so you get the best of both worlds. Now, obviously, on a 50 meter zero, what do we have to build? We have to build the data from 50 all the way up to 5 meter line, right? If CQB is your game, right? Why is that? We want to build that data. When I say build that data, it's building what? Holds. Know your holds, right? So on a gun, we have a sight to bore offset. So the sight to the bore offset, where the round goes and the sight. So roughly, if you see, I have a what? 2-inch drop, okay? So the old school days was we had the carrying handles, right? We didn't have modular system when I got to the A-teams. We had the carrying handles and we had this tubular fucking optic red dot on top of it. Dude, it was like a 5.5-inch offset, right? So when I was going through CQB training, it was like I pop it up, my gun was down here, my optic was up here, right? Okay, that's what we had. That's what we had. So when the modular system came in, I'm like, holy shit, that's so badass. So I was able to drop my optic. The lower you drop the optic is what? The less offset you have. Okay, so you should understand that. So kind of look at where your sight to bore offset is and know that's kind of roughly where you have to hold. You understand? Okay. All right, so let's talk about slings. What we got going on slings today? Okay, I see some different ideas on slings. All right, single points. Raise your hands. Anybody believe in single point? Double points? You don't believe in single point, DJ?
No, I don't even know how to use it.
Okay, because I'm looking at your single point. I'm like, you don't believe in single? Okay, all right.
About that this morning.
Okay. All right, and then the 3-point slings. Remember the 3-point slings? I don't know, some of you guys. Okay, the 3-point slings. Dude, I got to the A-teams and I was carrying the MP5. It was a 3-point sling back then, right? I'm like, man, this is so badass, right? And then I'm like, when there was an eagle down, I'm dragging fucking shit's hitting me in the balls and I'm climbing fences, hitting me in the face. I'm like, man, this 3-point sling ain't working for me, right? And then I started seeing guys maneuvering and doing all this shit with 1-point sling. I'm like, that's it. That's it. That's the sling, right? And then I climbed over my first fence and there was a rifle on this side. And my body was on this side, and I'm trying to reach over and grab my rifle, and I fell over. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done with the 1-points. But I like the 1-point. Let me tell you what. The 1-point sling allowed me that freedom to maneuver from weak side to strong side. It allowed me to just work the mechanics like I didn't have a sling. It was great. Besides getting racked and, Edgar Sherman came out with this thing. I recently switched over. I'm really kind of old school when it comes to my gear. What kept me alive overseas is kind of hard for me to pull off of it. But the Edgar Sherman sling allowed that tension, right? But also, you don't see any free floating shit. That means there's no straps floating around in there, okay? So this is a great sling. How I work this sling, 2-point, is I have it over here like this, right? You have to, when you size up a sling, usually what I do is I measure into my shoulder line. Measure into my shoulder pocket right here. And then I kind of adjust all the slings. Why do you think I want this in my shoulder pocket just like this? Why do you think I want it? Right, it's already there. It's already seated into that shoulder pocket, right? So this is already at almost presentation. I learned this when I was doing a lot of PSD work. Right, personal protection detail, where I was standing there and I had to go dynamic if I needed to in any moment. So we learned to start getting our buttstocks and sizing up the sling. What I like about the 2-point sling is if I go to full presentation, I can tighten this down. See what I mean? So I can tighten this sling down right here, and as I go to presentation, I could pull basically my elbow down. And what do you think I have? You can hear it. You can hear this lock in place. So let's say if I need to do a long standing shot, right? You'll see me size up my sling. I'll come in. I'll start cinching everything down so it gets tight on me. See, this is tight. This is a good standing position. All I had to do, pow, right? So everything's tight. So that's great to have this type of sling. Also, when I'm moving through, I don't know, a city, climbing walls, fence thing really tight on my body. So this thing becomes a part of me. I can move this thing to the side, and it basically glues up against me. If I have a teammate down, I can cinch everything and see, it doesn't move. The weapon doesn't move away from my body. All right, so CQB-wise, when I move up to a structure on a house, right, so let's say here, if I move it to a structure, I have a 2-point sling right here, but I can't move to my weak side. See, the gun is not free to move around my body, okay? So as I move it to a structure, I go into a 1-point over my neck, okay? So this over my neck allows me what? Freedom of movement to get my gun to weak side, strong side, or wherever I need. So what I'm recommending to you, right, get a 2-point sling, size it up right, and utilize the 2-point as a 1-point when you need it. Understand? When you need that. I do pop my collar because I'm trying to be cool. I pop my collar because it allows that sling to move around my collar without burning my damn neck. Okay? Try slinging a machine gun around your neck for a while. It's going to burn through your neck. Okay? So pop the collar if shit's starting to burn. All right, obviously, you need some kind of retainer band or ranger band on your buttstock, right? Why do you think I do that? It retains the sling, but why would I want to retain my sling? Vehicle, right? So we lost teammates to ambushes before and contacts on vehicles. And the worst place for you to be is in the vehicle. Right? Because all that shrapnel, right, is hitting that vehicle. All right. I do carry extra batteries in my buttstock. I used to carry batteries on tape right here too, right? Because buttstocks, back then we had like these batteries that sit in here, and I'm all about that too. If you have a pistol grip that has the battery stored right here. We also had battery compartments stored on our buttstocks. You seen that? For me, I didn't like that because sometimes when I compress my weapon down in a vehicle, if I'm working here, dude, it tears my fucking hands up right here. It tears it up. So I didn't like the battery compartment right here, but individual shooter, right? All right, so let's talk about buttstocks. When I first came in, they had like the fixed buttstocks, M16A2s. Right? And then when I got to the teams, I started seeing the collapsible buttstock. I'm like, man, that's so badass, right? And I used to run around shoot like this, right? In fact, we are taught to shoot center line on our chest, so going like this. Well, the problem with that is I never really had structure on my gun. So when I'm shooting and I have to drop down low, see, I'm maintaining all the weight right here. And then one of my seniors came up and said, "Hey, extend your buttstock." I'm like, okay. So I extend my buttstock, and he taught me how to measure it. He says, bend your arm to an L. So what you want to do is you kind of want to bend that to the L, right? And the reason why is because you want to use this L as structure on the gun. Okay? So if you find yourself like, if I'm dropping levels today, right, and I'm getting up, and if you're straining right here, bend your L. Bend the arm and use the structure of your body to get leverage on the gun. Make sense? Okay. Yes, sir. So right here, just a general rule of thumb, okay, and I just want to be able to get the buttstock into the L on my arm. Do you think it changes when I'm wearing body armor? It could, right? Depending on the cut. You know, the SEALs, they do the swimmer cuts, right? I like the swimmer cuts because it allow me to climb a little bit better. So the swimmer cuts, it frees up my shoulder pocket, so I can mount that. Some of our other ones, like the Cry Precision cage chassis system, big ass chassis system. Dude, I was shooting right here on my arm. All right, so, yes, sir.
I noticed your rear is on the other
Yes, sir.
side.
Yes, because this quick release bites into my shoulder, so I want it across. And also, it doesn't bind my sling when I go weak side. It doesn't bind that sling. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Sometimes the swing will get twisted up. So having this, I went to Jerry Barnhart's training, and he had 550 cord. I didn't like the 550 cord idea because, dude, it became a rat's nest after a while of that thing tangling up. So me hitting on the outside right here, it was pretty much the same functionality. So your gun, man, you have to be able to go strong side, weak side. My gun has to be.
다음에도 흥미로운 컨텐츠로 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.